Hello all. Welcome back to Introduction to Global Education Policy class. And today we will start a new topic. We're gonna start a new chapter, which would be on theories. So when you go for education policy, it's very important that we delve into the theoretical aspects. We understand where the foundation, the theories of this whole education policy, where do they lie? Before we go into the concepts, I just want to understand how much do you all understand about educational theories or theories in general? Why do you think theories are important? Can anyone say anything? Do you have any idea on why are theories important? Why do we need to know theories before we go to the practical aspects, before understanding why educational policies, how do they work in real life? Why do we need to understand the theories?
Your idea on the topic.
Okay. Probably a bit more details on what do you mean by having an idea on the topic? Why do you think theories are important to know the topic? So could you, give just an example of how do you think theories help in you understanding the topic better?
I think that it helps us in our real life, and also it helps us to analyze our findings, and also it gives us like solutions to our problems, because these are the theories are validated by renowned researchers.
Okay. Okay, that makes a bit of sense. So what theories, basically theories are important because they give you the foundation of the topic. So most of the time theories, when you see real life, when you see in practice, they kind of deviate a lot from the theories, but the theories help you to actually start somewhere. If you think of a problem, if you think of access problem in education, in educational institutions, that there is a problem in terms of access, in terms of people, what do you say, in terms of people getting access to schools or college, you might think of, okay, what could be the different kind of issues that leads to the access issue? But that case, if you want to start somewhere, it's the theory. First, you have to go through the theory. You have to understand, okay, these are the foundational issues that might cause the access problem in broader term. Then you can go into the practice and you can see, okay, these what different kind of deviations that happen in real life. So that's a bit of an idea of why theories are important. So I will share my screen and we can go through at least one theory today. And I want to give you an idea of what I was trying to say, of how theories work as a foundational idea of in terms of global education policy or any other kind of policy making. So we will start with national theories, the theories that look at global education from a micro level, from a macro level, from the top level, that that kind of shows how education policies impact our country as a whole or a nation as a whole. So from very top level. And one of the most important theories that that education specialists think about is human capital theory. This theory is very important in terms that any person who wants to advocate for education usually goes to human capital theory, saying that, okay, this is what human capital theory says, and that is why we think you need education. So in general, I just want, before I go into human capital theory, I again want to ask if any one of you have any idea of what human capital theory might talk about. I mean, the name human capital, if you have an idea about what economics is, you should know what capital means. And so I just want to know, what do you think a human capital could refer to?
Laborers.
Yes, that's almost correct. So human capital, when we think about capital, we usually think about physical capital. We think about machines, we think about technological tools. But human capital are a very important part of our economy, because without humans, without people working behind those say machines or different type of tools, the work won't be you won't get the work done. And it's not only when we think about laborers or workers, we think about people working in the industries, but also when you think about human capital, it's also the people who work in this in the system behind all sort of intellectual work that's going on. So when we think about human capital, it's basically a pool of people who are contributing to the economics. And what human capital theory talks about is that if you want to have economic growth in a country, if you want to see a development in a country, you need to have your pool of human capital, you need to make your human capital pool of human capital very, very skilled. They have to understand and they have to be very skilled in what they do to help your economy grow. And that is what human capital is all about, theory is all about. An example of what human capital theory entails is education. So what it talks about is that people need to gain skills. And where do you gain skills? You gain skills in training centers, you gain skills in education centers. You learn to gain skills. So what human capital theory says, that people need to gain skills, and then when they go for, and more skilled people are, the more they can contribute to the development of your economy. So a very practical example would be someone who goes to school. For example, you have two people, both of them are working for a particular sector, say health sector. Both of them have applied for the job of a nurse or some sort of health specialist. Someone who has had a vigorous training for a longer period of time will definitely give you a better output in the health sector than someone else who did not. In our country, it's a very common practice that our nurses and other healthcare workers, they do not get a very extensive set of education, or they do not get, they learn by training during their work. So what happens here is, when you learn by training, like during your work period, that's also one of the way to do it. But what happens here is the person who already was trained ahead who got the education, who already got the training that they need before getting into the job sector, will definitely have better output than the person who got into the job sector and they're learning throughout the process to train themselves, to make them understand, okay, this is how this works. And as a result, the output the person who already got into the job sector with the knowledge has will definitely be more than the person who got into the job sector and then learned about how that sector works. And that's why human capital theory says that it's very important that anyone who, before getting into the job sector, people should spend their time gaining those skills and understanding how the whole sector works according to the job sector, understanding how the job sector works. And this is basically a very important theory because a lot of education policy makers, education advocates, ministers who want to make changes in education sector, particularly people who are trying to, like, there are many policymakers, for example, in Bangladesh, there are many times there are advocates saying that, okay, we want to increase the number of years for education. So people usually use this human capital theory to advocate for that certain kind of change. So that's basically a bit about human capital theory. Before we go into further information about it, do you have any question?
No, like, could you please explain the last part of like where you gave the examples?
Yeah, sure. So what I'm trying to say here is that in what human capital theory talks about is that people need to gain, human capital theory talks about that people needs to have the skills, the people who have skills and the people who are trained, people who gain skills through education and training can dedicate better effort, like put more effort in generating output for the country. So people who are trained, people, if you're putting more, what do you call, more if you invest more in training people, they will have better outcome and there will be a better economic growth. So if you look at the example, for example, there are two person. One person is in case of one person, you invest a lot of money to get that person educated and to get that person trained for a certain job market. And another person, you just say that, okay, I will not train you, I'll put you into the job market. You can go inside the job market and learn by doing. That's also one way of learning, right? You learn by doing. When you put both of them into the job market, though more time is needed, is spent in training and preparing this first person, when both of them go into the job market, you will see that the first person will definitely provide generate better output than the second person, because the second person will need more time to actually understand how the job market works, right? The first person already has the theoretical knowledge. So I hope that was clear. And we will probably talk about it in more in depth in next class.